Hi everyone, this is Amitabh. I am the founder CEO of a company called Altigreen. To set the ball rolling, I thought what I'd do is start by talking a little bit about innovations and how we can get to be Atmanirbhar in electric vehicles. It's an oft-used word right now, ever since it was used by Honorable Prime Minister, and I was just trying to see how we can do that in terms of becoming more self-reliant. So first and foremost, why are we here? Why are you logging in, and why are we in this space at all? I think the first and the most important thing, and the left picture indicates why we are here. Of course, this is taken in 2019 when face masks were not in fashion. But this is the reality. 1.2 million people lose their lives early in India alone because of poor air quality, and 25% of that is attributed to road transport, which means that we're talking about 3 lakh people losing their lives every year in India just because of air quality related to road transportation. In some ways, COVID has been a boon. In some ways, please don't take me wrong on this. It probably has saved lives in India this year. This is how bad the situation is on the road. 14 out of 15 of the world's top most polluted cities of the world, in that specific order, are in India. The problem is really grave. And beyond that, fuel is becoming an extremely expensive commodity. And we did a quick calculation just to look at the fuel price by the per capita as a ratio of the per capita income. And India beats the entire lot of countries across the world, which means that fuel is a very expensive commodity. So we are here because of these two main reasons. We are spending a lot of money in importing fuel into this country. People are losing their lives because of fossil fuel and combustion technologies. So I'm hoping that by the end of this discussion, you will probably be a little more enlightened and realize that EVs are simple, efficient, and really the right thing to do. Right? We have a very, very good set of a very esteemed panel, and through all their experience and the innovations that they're doing, you'll probably see why this should have been the case. So it's all about disruptions, and disruptions happen all the time. They've happened across the world all the time. Whether you look at this picture of New York in the US, where in 1900 there was just one motor car and the rest were horse carriages, to about a decade later, and there was just one horse carriage and the rest was electric motor vehicles, right? So this is a huge change, whether it was electric motor vehicles or combustion motor vehicles, but it had completely changed in 10 years. And not too long back, very close to home, between the 1993 and the 2001 timeframe, from long queues in front of PCO booths, we moved to a phone with every individual. So disruptions have happened all the time, and there are many more examples that you can see, whether it's Nokia with bar phones versus smartphones, whether it's Kodak with digital technology, whether it is vehicles with the ambassadors and the Premier Padmanis to the Marutis, whatever it might be. There are lots of disruptions that happen all the time. This is the time for disruptions in electric vehicles. And hopefully you'll get to know why these disruptions are happening. So a brief introduction on Altigreen. Just to set the stage, I will not be talking more about Altigreen. I'll be talking about how we can and what kinds of innovations we can do to become self-reliant in this domain. So we've been around for a while. We were founded in 2013. I was the initial founder of the company, and we were built to kind of redefine last mile transportation by creating innovative EV technologies. The most important thing for us back then, as it is today, was that it has to be made in India and made for India. I think those are two very important things for us. We decided to focus on on building components rather than the entire vehicle, because we realized that the most important thing in this entire ecosystem is going to be the components on which vehicles will be built. So our focus has been on motors, controllers, gearboxes, transmissions, display clusters, battery management systems, those kinds of things. We're not a fly-by-night operator. We have 24 global patents that have been granted to us, including 6 in the US, in EU, Australia, South Asia, Africa. We won many awards. We're very proud to have the WWF award as a climate solver, and the logo of the panda, which we very, very dear to us. All components that we've created so far are homologated and type approved for India, including EMI, EMC at the component level. Manufacturing and assembly lines are ready, and we are doing that today. Basic idea is that through our components, we ensure that EVs can be built that will compete both in price and performance together with the fossil fuel alternatives. Okay, so if you look at the emerging world, this is our focus today. I'm not looking at what's happening in Europe. I'm not looking at what's happening in China or the US. I'm looking at what's happening in a very large part of the universe. And what's really happening is this, right? This is the reality of this part of the universe. Heterogeneous traffic, sharing the same road with different kinds of vehicles, with different kinds of speeds, sometimes even with humans and animals, right? Overloading is extremely common. It's a reality. There's no point in contesting this reality. It is there. You will have it, whichever part of the world you may go to in the emerging markets, you will find that it is a reality. All these things are important, and hence I'm bringing that up right now. The third thing is extreme conditions, whether it is temperature, whether it is infrastructure in terms of pothole growth, whether it is waterlogging, you name it, and you will find it in this geography. So keep that realization in mind when we say that we are trying to build components, vehicles, anything. Whenever we are looking at building anything, we have to keep these things in mind when we start by designing any of these things. And hence, the first thing that we have to keep in mind when we are creating anything in this domain, when we are working on EVs or any other technologies, our competition is with the internal combustion engine, not with the other EV providers. I think that is one area that we have to internalize amongst ourselves when we are creating any technology to be self-reliant in this part of the world. We are asking people to move from 100 years or more than that, over a century of certainty with respect to fossil fuel infrastructure, to a completely uncertain world of electric vehicles. So when you keep that in mind and you look at the pyramid that we are operating in, we were probably started with the bottom end of the pyramid, which is basically a trader or an importer kind of functionality, where we are getting this from abroad and launching them in India just because that was the very nature of things. I think as we move upwards, we have to start looking at local needs and local quality, and then moving to a global quality with a local brand. And all these things mean that we have to meet the needs and the necessities of this geography, this environment, this unprofessional or questionable driving practice that we find all around us. And of course, retrofits are a very important case that we should look at. So that is the number one, to me, that's the number one thing that determines the success of whatever we are doing. And we need to focus on that if we want to be self-reliant. The second thing is I started looking at this to see how EVs are really competing with internal combustion engines. So I think the first promise that all of us realized that we were able to meet is that the running cost of an electric vehicle will be a fraction of the internal combustion engine. So that was proven. Everything is fine, boss. Promises met. Everything's good, and of course it's fun. Must jaldi hai, good torque. Low maintenance. All that is cool. But the biggest challenge that stands in front of EVs across the world is that it destroys this paradigm of uninterrupted mobility, right? I mean, we're so used to just leaving home and just figuring it out on the way, whether it's fuel on the road or whatever it might be. All doable. Hundreds of years of certainty. So if you look at the various parameters and you start looking at them in terms of price or range or top speed and all of that, we put that down in the form of a matrix. And if you look at the various parameters that are needed for, the various factors that drive electric mobility in this country, then you'll find that, route predictability of the route you're taking, the amount of vehicle is going to be utilized. Is it 5% which is needed for personal vehicles, or is it 90% which is needed for commercial vehicles? What is the price differential between an ICE versus, a possibly a full electric vehicle? What is the ease of charging? What is the investment that's available? Who are the OEMs that are doing it? When you start looking at all those parameters, you realize that there are lots of greens, yellows, and reds. And if you look at it closely, you'll find that most of the greens and the yellows are in the commercial vehicle segment. And that's an important thing that we figured, um, possibly a little late, but we figured that uh, that should be one area of focus if we're looking at, starting in this ecosystem and providing vehicles and transportation options. Again, I'm not saying that you should not look at bigger vehicles or you should not look at, personal vehicles and those kinds of things. But if you want to focus on self-reliance, make sure that the bottom end of the pyramid, which focuses on, fuel efficiency, economics, durability, ruggedness, all that is taken into consideration. And hence, the second thing for me and an important thing for me is that there is a lot of potential in fleet applications. Look at that as commercial vehicle applications. That will help us put more vehicles on the road, which will make the ecosystem better and hence our capability of being able to get more electric vehicles on the road. And the third thing, and this to me, and I'll close with this, is that if you look at the EV life cycle, and this is because I noticed that a lot of people were looking at entering the space through the questions that were coming in, a lot of people wanting to become EV OEMs. You know, drivetrains, batteries, they're a small portion of the entire life cycle cost of an EV. There's a lot more that needs to be done if you want to make EVs popular in this country. And those are some of those things that are marked over there. 55 to 65% of the life cycle costs are not going to come from the vehicle itself. And hence, a very important parameter, and the number three taking from us, is that if you look at the efficiencies, there's a lot of software components that need to be built. And that's not because I have a PhD in computer science, trust me, guys. I'm saying this only because there is a need. An electric vehicle is a tablet on wheel. It's not just a saying, it is the truth. And you need to focus on a lot of systems and a lot of software, whether embedded or otherwise, to make sure that you can get a good EV in place. And a lot of those can be built in India very easily, as long as we have an understanding of what needs to be done, whether it's autonomous or it is assisted vehicles or it is the analytics or the interaction with the EV systems. And just in closing, just summarizing, two things. When we look at EV powertrains, drivetrains, components, we should always look at it from a system efficiency perspective. Don't look at it as a point thing. Look at electrical, electronics, mechanical things, battery packs for uptime, embedded systems that are more efficient, and look at the entire value chain of the software around it, whether it is through telematics or through software integration, or even through second life applications of each of these products. So I'll close with that. I know I've shortened by about 2 or 3 minutes, but thanks a lot for this. Hope you have a great time with the other panelists. Thank you very much.